Breaking down Arizona Wildcats football, U of A goes to the Rose Bowl in Pasadena and beats the team from Westwood 34-28 in an upset. I'm David Kelly, joined as always by Glenn Howell, U of A football class of 1985. And Glenn, who would have thought that would happen on Saturday night? But just what a huge win for this program, and no matter what happens, I think moving forward, I think we can call this a successful season. Obviously, you want to go out on a high note. This was a tough 5-game stretch for this team, Glenn, in which they finished it 1-4, but with a fabulous performance, I think, in all three phases of the game to get one of the biggest wins, definitely the biggest win of the Jetfish era.
Well, hey, Dave, one of the things I want to say is that the coaches did a great job of preparing our men, young men, to play in this football game. I think on the offensive side of the ball, we had them just like they were on their heels. We were running the ball. We were throwing the ball to run the ball. We were throwing those little screens and then having them run. We had some great schemes going on. I think give kudos to Jetfish of how we planned it. He was actually using Speedy as a decoy when they put him in the backfield. They put him outside, didn't give him, and went the other way. I think it was a great job of game planning, and the offensive line, kudos to you guys, and that's even Jordan Morgan. I hope he's okay. And those guys up there, the guys that filled it in, they did a great job on that defensive line that is supposed to be able to attack the quarterback. And Jaden was just back there just throwing dimes everywhere. And also on the defensive line was very disciplined. And kudos to Ricky Hunley and the other coaches in there that were doing, and Coach Nansen, that made a game plan that made sure that DTR didn't get loose. No big plays from him, running long plays, because that guy usually runs for about 80 or 90 yards a game. So he's been getting a lot of yards, and our guys did a great job. Linebackers play. Mr. Little Guy, Jacob Manu is just killing it. That guy is just killing it. So he has just been a leader. I like the way he was talking to DTR. And then our DBs, gosh, these guys, this was a great experience for them. They're going to get some great wide receivers over there. And they just kind of shut them down. They shut them down, all our guys. Great job. Special teams. We needed a special teams play, and we got it. We got a block punt. We got that punt that went to the 1-yard line, but we got to cancel that because they went 99 yards to school. But it was a great job of doing that, and I think it was an all-around great play by the coaching, by the players, and everybody that was there. And good job for the Cats, and that was a great win for us.
All right, well, let's back up now, and we'll start on the offensive side of the ball. And for me, Glenn, I think one of the things that has emerged in the last 2 weeks has been the arrival of Wendell Moe at left guard for this offensive line. And I'm going to show some of these plays here, Glenn. I mean, he was bowling guys 3-4 yards off the line of scrimmage. And we've talked so much about how this offensive lines at times off snap was going backwards. Well, most of the time when you looked at Wendell Moe was going forward. And if you can just get that one or two guys that can get that forward push, you're going to win in the run game, and we began to see that in this ball game. And in fact, the first quarter, Glenn, if you look at the numbers on first down in the first quarter, they were getting 8 yards on first down in the first quarter. Now, it went down from that as the game went on, but still, they averaged almost 6 yards on first down in this ball game, and that was critical to this offensive system.
Yes. Give me some Mo. Because the man was just blowing people away, pulling out of there, getting outside, and doing some great trap blocking. I mean, this kid was mowing people down. Not to be, no pun intended, but he was really mowing people down. But the kid is emerged, and he's lost his weight. When I first saw him when he got into camp, I was like, man, this guy, man, he really needs to cut some weight, And this guy worked his way back into shape, got in there, and got into the lineup. He was pass blocking. He was doing a great job. And then, another thing, people that were really blocking a lot was the wide receivers. Some of these plays, I watch the game over and I slow it down and everything. And Jacob Cowley, man, he had a decleater block on one of those screen passes that he was just taking on the guy. And Jacob's not that big, so kudos for those wide receivers fighting for each other for when they get the ball. That is what winning football is about, man. Is fighting for your teammates, man. It really is. It's all about that.
Well, I want the folks to hear what Jedd Fisch had to say this past week about the emergence of Wendell Moe, who made his first start at Utah a week ago.
He's very strong. He's lost 38 pounds since he's arrived on campus. And he is, you could see him moving really well. You could see him moving the 3 technique. You could see the confidence he's having. So as he was gaining knowledge in our offense, it gave us more of an opportunity to play the 2 young guards. And now we've got 2 freshmen lined up with a sophomore in the middle.
And Glenn, one of the things he said was that the young man, as you mentioned, has dropped some weight, dropped 38 pounds since he's got here. Right now, they're listing him at 6'2", 360. So I'm not sure if that 360 is still the beginning of the season weight, but you think he's probably more around 340 right now?
Yeah, 340, around there, 340, 340 with a couple steaks in there, I think, but he's moving, man. He's moving, and he's physical. That's what I like in the inside, and that's where we can do everything we want to do in the run game.
We may have to come up with a nickname for him and Jonas Savianea. I mean, those 2 guys at the guard position, both freshmen coming out of Southern California. Wendell played at Long Beach Poly, which is a hugely successful program in Southern California. I mean, again, when we talk about, the recruiting and Jedd getting guys out of places like Chandler, a program here in Arizona that wins, Long Beach Poly, a program out of Southern California that everybody knows as a winner. I mean, I remember even back when I was at USC back in the day, we were always counting the number of guys on the roster from Long Beach Poly because we knew those guys were going to be good football players.
Yeah, you get winners here, you become a winner. Kids from Saravite, the kids from, all these different schools in these on the Southern California area, from Texas, from other places, from Colorado. All these places where they're winning, that's where you bring winners together. You got a winning attitude, and let's look at what these guys came into at UCLA, guys. Fans, you got to understand they come in there. No one gave them a chance. No one gave. I didn't. I bet against them against the spread. I didn't think they'd get close to the spread. And what did they do? They came in there. They had a good game plan. They didn't seem like they were nervous. They were just freewheeling. And the most important thing that I saw that it just got me choked up is that they're having fun. They're having fun. They're enjoying themselves playing football. And that is a virus. If you get that virus going in the program, there's no stopping you.
Well, and Jaden Delora, man, he's just, every week he just shows his leadership ability out there for this ball club and continue to do that. And Michael Wiley getting, I believe it was a season high 27 touches, I believe, in this ball game from Michael Wiley. And then just the ability, they ran him 6 straight times on that last drive. And then, and you talk about shortening the game. And I know we've had this conversation every single week, but when you get to this was a game I felt that they could actually do that, Glenn, because they did not get behind early. They were either ahead or even, so that allowed them to be able to put themselves in a situation where they could continually pound Michael Wiley, and then you get that lead in the fourth quarter, and you got a Wendell Moe that you're running behind now, which you maybe didn't even have that 3 weeks ago, and then 3 weeks ago, Michael Wiley was hurt. And so now you've got 2 critical pieces in a running game that allows you to shorten that game and get into that 34 34, 35-minute time of possession area there, where now I believe the number is they've been over 33 minutes time of possession now in 4 games, and they've won 3 of those 4 games.
Yeah, and the thing is that I don't know if they were conscious of it, but sometimes they were snapping the ball at 4 seconds, 3 seconds. Then some other times when they ran the ball. So I don't know if they were really conscious of that. But if you start being conscious of that, and that will shorten the game even more, okay? Because that is something that the small little things that can win you ball games. Because if we're not to the point where we're that much talented, we got young guys, we're not as talented as the other teams, but we got to be able to be more strategic and think, because that's the way games are won in major college football now, is because you have to do the small little things to win the games. Because a lot of these teams these teams that are way talented than you got to find a way to get that W against them. And that's the things that we have to do to get the W's against more talented teams than us.
All right, I'm going to give out 3 game balls on offense. One to Jaden Delore, who threw over 300 yards for the 5th time this season. One to Michael Wiley, who, like we talked about, really was able to salt this game away in the 4th quarter. And then my guy, Wendell Moe, like Glenn said, give me Moe, because that young man, to me, again, has changed the complexion of this offense. Who are you giving out game balls to?
My game balls are going to go to Hunter Echols, man. I mean, even though he was making the pressures, but he was doing the right kind of pressure where he was taking DTR. You can't go outside of me, okay? He was making the pressures on him. And then Jalen Harris, man, that kid's just grinding, man. He's grinding. He is doing a great job of getting upfield, making sure that they're not getting around him, and he did a great job and letting the other players make the play. You got to understand how hard that is, fans. You got to understand that you're beating your guy, and if you got a path to the quarterback, but if you go in that path, there's a running lane there. These guys were disciplined, and I'm going to give it to Jalen Harris and to Hunter Echols. They did a great job of just containing DTR. He was just checking down on everything. He wasn't, and then our DBs did a great job of coverage and not being lost. A couple times we were getting up to the line of scrimmage, and that's where I think Charbonnet got a big run when we weren't ready. We got to get a little bit more ready quicker at the line of scrimmage. And I think we can solve those problems. Those are things that we can fix. But other than that, the defense did a great job.
Well, and you talked about the defensive backs, and I want to point out Tacario Davis, who I thought made a couple of huge plays there on passes in the red zone to negate big, long pass plays and the touchdown in the one instance. I'm going to go with a different guy up front. I'm going to agree with you on Jalen Harris. He gets one of my defensive game balls. The Wildcats had 7 tackles for loss and 3 sacks in this ball game. I'm also going to go with Tai Ucla, who, did not really, statistically, he had one sack in the ball game, but I thought there were, and I always hate this line in the stats, QB hurries, because I don't think it's an accurate portrayal of hurrying the quarterback or QB hits or whatever they want to call that. But I thought there were several instances where he forced DTR into quick throws in that ball game. So I thought Ucla had a very good game down front for the Wildcats.
The future is bright, man. These young kids are playing. They're playing at the Rose Bowl, man. I'm getting emotional about how excited I am about seeing these kids just playing with passion and playing like they're having fun. They have nothing. They're letting it all loose. And then my guy outside, number 9, Davis, he's another one that's was just coming after it and coming after the quarterback and using technique.
Russell Davis, yes.
Yeah, Davis. The guy's like Buck, he's Buck. He needs like a couple 10-pound weights in his pocket. That guy's not that heavy, but he puts some weight on, and he's going to be a little bit bigger. He's going to be a problem for people.
And Jacob Manu is going to get my other defensive game balls, because I thought Glenn, not only, he had 10 tackles, but not all of those 10 tackles came on defense. he had some tackles on special teams in this ball game as well. And Glenn, I thought that was important because this was really the first game where they had to actually go down and play defense on some of the kickoffs because of that heavy air in Pasadena and the ball not getting into the end zone. They actually had to go down and cover in this ball game, and they hit, you get so used to not having to do that because pretty much every kick nowadays goes into the end zone. And I thought that Jacob did a great job on that, and I think that DJ Warnell continues to do a great job in kick coverage and has all season long.
Yeah, and these guys that I don't know if the fans understood that the thickness of that fog that comes in. That heavy air comes in, it makes the ball heavier, so you cannot kick the ball as far in that place. It happens there. It happens at Dodger Stadium at night when you go, but during the day it's like a launch pad. But during the night, as that fog comes off the ocean over there, it comes in, that heavy air, man, that just keeps that ball really heavy, and you can't kick it out of the end zone.
And you mentioned the blocked field goal early, which was a huge special teams play. Tia Savea getting his hands on that. He was a guy that we thought would maybe be a larger part of this defense. He's dealt with some injuries, throughout the season, and maybe hasn't emerged as what people would have thought at the beginning of this season. But in that situation, I believe, an ex-Bruin, if I'm not mistaken, he played at UCLA as well, who came up big on that particular stage. And Here's something I was thinking about over the weekend. Now, obviously, that these, there are not going to be these trips to Los Angeles in the future. And we've always talked about the number of kids from Southern California who come to this program at the University of Arizona who look forward to those games back against those two schools. And the sheer number of kids we just talked about who made plays in this game, who were probably extra pumped to play in this game. But now you're not going to have that 2, 3, 4 years from now. And I'm wondering how that's going to change not only, and I know Jed has come out and said that they're still going to recruit Southern California, it's still going to be an important place, but now that those kids don't have that game every year to go back to, I wonder how that's going to hurt Arizona.
I don't know if it's going to hurt them that much. If we start going to the Rose Bowl, those UCLA and USC is gone. It's up for grabs. I'm telling you, the Pac-12 is going to be up for grabs. So who's going to develop, who's going to get those recruits from those areas? And I think we have a good in on going what we've been doing, getting those kids, man. And you're looking at the kids that have come here from there. They're all playing. They're starting. They're making the impact. They're playing right away. So, they're going to be our best. Dave, they're going to be our best recruiters. They're going to tell the guys, man, they told me I can play here and I'm playing. So they're going to be recruited. And then that's going to just bring the level of play up because you're going to put pressure on guys. Every year there's going to be kids coming in trying to take your spot. And that's what the kind of program you want.
Now, in the other game ball I'm going to give, and you mentioned this also earlier, to Kyle Ostendorp, the punter who had 3 kicks inside the 20. The Bruins' average starting field position was their 21-yard line. So that was another asset to this defense, was being able to put them back and forcing them to have to go the length of the field and not allowing them to have short fields to work with. So kudos to Kyle Ostendorp for doing a very good job. Like you mentioned, put the one on the one, which they ended up. That was the one drive they gave back, allowing them to go 99 yards on that one. But again, you had to make them go 99 yards, but they went that 99 yards off 2 big plays. And again, if we're gonna kind of analyze what happened on that touchdown, I mean, you had 2 guys in Jackson Turner and Christian Roland Wallace who went for kill shots, and rather than going for a tackle.
Yeah, and we got to get better with our tackling. We got to shore that up. I just don't think that we're tackling as good. It was a little better. We had some plays that we made some tackles, but there's some plays that we didn't make any tackles. We got to get better on the tackling side. The tackling side's got to get better. If that gets better, they're going to get less yaks, yards after catch. These guys are going to get, and it's going to help our defense.
Well, Glenn, when this team started 3-2, my thinking at that time was, you maybe have to win 5 now to make this a successful season. And now you're in a position where you could potentially win 6 and maybe even 7 if you get to a bowl game, which would have been just unthinkable back in September. And now you've got 2 games. You've got Jaden Delores' revenge game and then everybody's revenge game after that. So these next 2 weeks are going to be in. Both of those games are at home. It's going to be a really exciting, I think, next 2 weeks for this football program.
Yeah, telling sign is going to be how are they going to recover from a great game, a great win, unexpected win. That is the thing, is how do you recover? And I'm saying recover because you can be so high and doing everything and forgetting about what you're going to do the next game, and you can come out and lay an egg. We cannot we can't do that. We got to get refocused. We got to be in there on practice on Monday, watch the film, do all the stuff, get better, understand who our opponent is, and play the same game that we played against UCLA. It's just the way we played it was passion, and we looked like we knew what they were going to do. That's what was great about it. And if we can do that, we can be successful in the next 2 games and win out this game and go to a bowl game.
All right, it is the Wildcats and the Washington State Cougars, a noon kick, so daytime college football in Tucson in November is straight ahead. And we will be back early Saturday morning to break that or to preview that game for you.